Rest by Rated Pony Star, read by Deathlight. When I was little, I used to stare back at a reflection of a tiny dragon that looked back at me. I always told myself that someday I would grow up to be strong, brave, and handsome. Strong enough to go out with my friends and beat up anyone who would hurt them. Brave to the point where all knights and heroes of old would be shamed. More handsome than any prince, so Rarity could see me as not a baby dragon, but someone who cared for her and wanted her hoof and love and compassion in his heart. I often imagine what my older self would say to me if we could talk through the mirrors. Now that I'm older, I would have told Spike of the past so many things. Mostly that his life wasn't going to end up the way he wanted it. I wasn't strong enough to save my friends, most of whom are dead now. I wasn't brave enough to speak my opinion to Twilight about how I didn't approve what we were doing to the humans in the fear of earning her disapproval. Handsome? Who cares? I might as well be the most handsome dragon in the world, if only because all the other dragons are dead. Glancing into the mirror, I closed my eyes and turned away with a growl, gazing over my room. A room that was once Princess Luna's, in the rebuilt palace. After she died in the Battle of Jerusalem, Celestia ordered it to be sealed, never to be opened again. No pony cared about what the sumbitch's demands were after her crimes came to light. The entire place was ransacked and wiped clean of all valuables by desperate ponies who didn't care anymore about working in a palace of princess that turned the entire race into monsters. Not that it mattered since Twilight planned to redo the castle anyways, after peace had been made. It wasn't as tall or big as the former home of the royal family. Mostly because Twilight wanted to use most of the treasure to rebuild Equestria, but it was still regal enough to serve as a place of government, at least until the Congress building was built across the city from the new Senate. It was hard to choose what form of government Equestria was going to follow since Twilight had no plans of continuing the monarchy after her death. While I was technically adopted by Twilight, I wasn't suited for ruling a nation. No, when Twilight died, it would be the Equestria Republic instead of the Kingdom of Equestria. I exited my room, made my way down the hall, nodding at the pony staff and human soldiers who stood in attention for any threats. Even though the Equestrian freedom fighters were gone, there were still those who were against Equestria's surrender. Those that remained, what little there were hiding in remote places, but eventually they would be found. I had gotten used to the human soldiers now, since Equestria wasn't allowed of a military until the UN deemed it ready. Most likely when the next generation was grown up enough to make their own decisions. We still have police forces in the cities, both those that survived the invasion and those being rebuilt, but that was it. No guards, no military, not even a militia. Most didn't complain. After years of war, every pony just wanted peace. It didn't matter if he lost. I soon found myself in front of two big purple doors with Twilight's cutie mark on them. Sighing, I knocked before the door unlocked. With a sad smile, I glanced at the one who had been my mother, sister, teacher, and best friend all at the same time. "Hello, Spike," she weakly muttered as she looked up from her book. The only light came from the sun in the glass window, nearby which shone down on her bed. I sat down beside her in the same chair I sat in every day for the past year or so. "You look a little better." She chuckled. "No, I don't." Truth was, she looked as well as one could be when dying of cancer. Despite being 50 and dying, she was fine. Her hair was grayer, and she looked older with a far paler tone in her coat. But she still had the same kindness in her eyes. The same kindness I stayed loyal to after everything that happened. When I learned of what Celestia had done, when I learned what had become of my kind, I just wanted to burn everything around me. Twilight sensed this and gave me a small forest to fill my anger on. I destroyed it in a single day, but that still wasn't enough to calm the pain in my heart. Even now, it still wasn't enough. It wasn't the fact that Celestia killed my entire kind that bothered me the most. It wasn't the fact that when I passed away, hundreds or thousands of years from now, there would be no more dragons. It was the fact that I'd never be able to carry on my kind's legacy. I never knew what it meant to really be a dragon. I was raised by ponies and the culture, lifestyle, history, and the knowledge of dragons was unknown to them. I knew nothing about my kind, and now I was the last. I couldn't carry anything with them as I live. I can't tell stories with pride. I can't let the legend of my people be remembered. And I can't even mourn for all the deaths the way dragons did. I'm a dragon who knows nothing about being a dragon except for breathing fire and eating gems. That is what Celestia took from me. That is why the pain in my heart can never stop. I shook off these dark feelings and focused on Twilight. What were you reading? Walden by Henry David Thoreau. Answered Twilight, showing me the cover. It's pretty good. You know the best part about not grueling anymore is that I have free time to read human literature. It's so amazing and different that I feel like a little filly discovering new books again. I especially love the works of Aristotle, Dickens, and Doyle. I nod in agreement. Human literature was always more exciting and afloat a bit better than pony literature. I personally like Tolan, Rowling, and Clancy. Is there anything you want to do, or just talk about today? I asked, leaning forward. She looked at me with a smile. Remember when Fluttershy and her family came last time? Fluttershy asked me if I wanted to confess my sins to him since he was a Catholic priest and all? I agreed. Really? But you don't believe in a Christian god, or any god for that matter. I pointed out with a raised eyebrow. I don't, but I guess I wanted to humor him, while at the same time I have a backup plan if it turns out there is a god. Twilight paused and looked outside the window. What do you think happens to us when we die, Spike? I sighed. It was going to be one of those discussions again. If it was any pony else, I wouldn't be bothered, but talking about death, or any death-related issue, only further reminded me that someday, and someday soon, Twilight was going to die. Fortunately, Twilight had gotten cancer after finally finding the cure for the conversion potion. In truth, much to the anger of all of us who cared about her. She had it 2 years earlier, but refused treatment so she could focus on a cure. When I argued to her about it, she only replied, I was fulfilling a promise to an old friend. And she left it at that. If she had gotten treatment earlier, she could have bait it, but now it was too late. All she wanted was to spend her final days in peace. Equestria didn't need her anymore. She fulfilled her promise to fix Celestia's mistakes and bring the humans we converted back into their normal selves. After so many years, the new foals were once again human. After all the struggle, pain, and loss that came from the moment we arrived on Earth, the cure was being made. Twilight was ready to simply rest and wait to die. Since she was waiting for an answer, I gave one. I honestly don't know. I've looked into a few books about such theories, both human and pony, she said, leaning back against her pillow. None of them really gave an answer, or at least one that has logical reasoning behind it. I guess that's why they call it faith. She looked at me. Do you believe in God, Spike? Not in the normal sense. I don't think there's an old man with a white beard looking down on us. But I think there's something responsible for everything. Something that causes all life to move on, even after death. I don't think there's even a heaven or hell, but I don't think it ends in nothing either. I think it goes on, but just in a different way we don't understand. You? I don't think there is anything. She whispered, closing her eyes. As much as I want to believe there is, as much as I want to think I can see any of my friends or family again, the logical side of me thinks nothing happens after death. The end, forever gone. Although, I do hope I'm wrong, I really do. Are you scared? I asked as I took her hoof and squeezed. For a long time, she didn't answer. When she finally spoke up, a single word came out. A word that cut like a knife. Yes. A few days later, we were visited by some unexpected guests, Lyra and Flash Sentry. While I've seen Lyra plenty of times since she had become ambassador representing Equestria with the UN, it was surprising to see her husband here. I personally had nothing against Lyra, remembering the early days in Canada when she, Twilight, Moondancer, and the other unicorns were friends at school. Whenever she and Twilight interacted, it was always on a professional level, doing their best to avoid the fact that they had previously fought against each other with words. and later magic before Equestria surrendered. However, there was one pony I was not happy to see. It was Flash Heartbreaker Sentry. He was dressed in human-designed military clothing, caught my glare before doing his best to stay as stoic as possible. Part of him looked afraid, but I guess it's because the last time we spoke, I said I would burn his bones to ash if I ever saw him again. "Hello, Spike," said Lyra with a smile, while Flash just nodded to me. I looked back at him before giving a smile to Lyra. "Good to see you, Lyra. How's the kids?" "Expecting another grand cult," said Lyra with a giggle. "Spoiling them is so much fun, plus it drives my kids crazy when I do it." She then frowned and glanced at Twilight's closed doors. "How long does she have?" "Not long. I come to speak to her, not about politics, about us." I nodded before turning to Flash. "You wait here. Spike, No, if she wants to speak with you, she'll say so. For now, you stay here." I growled, which made him cower a bit, but he sighed and backed away. I opened the door and allowed Lyra to walk in with me before closing it behind us. Twilight seemed to have finished eating her lunch when she noticed we had a guest. Twilight, to my surprise, smiled and waved. "Hello, Lyra." "Hi, Twilight," whispered Lyra as she walked over and sat down in the seat I usually sat in. "I can see you're finally starting to get some gray in your mane like me." "I think gray suits you better." "Yeah, but I prefer my old color. It really stood out," said Lyra, smoothing her mane out a bit. She took a deep sigh before looking at Twilight with a smile. "So, ready to hit the hay for the last time?" "Even when I'm dying, you never mince words," said Twilight, shaking her head. "Yeah, well..." Lyra grinned. "It's just part of my charm." The three of us laughed at this, and for a second, it seemed like all the long arguments, fights, and battles we were involved in with long ago were just memories. Lyra soon calmed herself before leaning back in the chair, while Twilight slowly got up and leaned forward. For a while, there was a silence between us. For years, there had been either arguments, battles, or just politics when the two of them were in a room. From once old friends to townmates, enemies, and now mutually assured co-workers. Lyra Heartstrings, the rebel, leader of justice, hero and friend of all humans. Twilight Sparkle, the last princess, element of magic, apprentice of the human-hating Celestia. Twilight was the one who spoke first. "You were right." "Yeah," whispered Lyra, crossing her hooves. "I'm not going to apologize for what I said all those years ago. I'm not going to apologize for my protest or outright hostility. And I sure as hey ain't gonna apologize for rebelling. What you and the princesses were doing was wrong. I just wish so many lives were lost. I just wish I listened to you instead of the monster I called a mentor all those years ago. I wish you never left our world. Even if that meant all of us dying to an exploding sun." Asked Lyra calmly, which made Twilight shake her head and caused me to raise an eyebrow. "Wait, what?" I asked, confused. "How?" Asked Twilight in disbelief. "You really didn't think the would let you two talk without secretly recording you, did ya?" Asked Lyra, smirking. "They didn't trust you. I didn't trust you. I know what happened in that cell. So I do a few others, but don't worry. The recordings were destroyed, and we're all keeping our silence. Nobody wants to risk Celestia being seen as a well-intended extremist." "I'm sorry, but I'm confused," I pointed out. "I'll tell you later, Spike. I promise." Twilight whispered to me before turning to Lyra with a raised eyebrow. "Is that all you came to tell me?" "No." Lyra sighed, closing her eyes. I just want you to know that I forgive you." She paused for a moment. "For a long time, even after I learned how horrible Celestia was, I still hated you. It took the Equestrian Freedom Fighter's demise to make me realize that you were suffering just as much as I did. Maybe even more." "I'm sorry about Bonbon," said Twilight, closing her eyes. "But I'm not sorry about Sweetie Drops. Sweetie Drops wasn't my best friend. My best friend died in Ponyville. I think even Rainbow Dash and Applejack died in Ponyville along with the others. Those two had died there. They weren't your friends. They weren't our friends." "Yeah," whispered Twilight before she looked outside the window. I forgive you too. Will the Moondancer ever forgive? No, said Lyra with a frown. Just no, she won't. I see, whispered Twilight, turning back with a sad smile. I have so many memories of my friends in Ponyville, but I forgot about those I had in Canterlot. Can you share some with me? Lyra proceeded to talk about the first time they all met in school. I took that as my cue to leave them, in order to let them have some privacy. I was still confused by what they meant by Celestia, but that didn't matter. Whatever it was, nothing would have made me forgive her. Nothing. When I got there, Flash Sensor was still outside, waiting for his wife. I sighed in the discomfort before walking next to him and rested my back on the wall. I turned away so I didn't have to look at him, but of course, he opened his mouth. You're acting ridiculous, stated Flash Sentry, glaring at me. I get it, you hate me for breaking Twilight's heart all those years ago. I got it the moment her friends in shiny armor threatened me when I left the Royal Guards. I didn't look at him. You think it's so easy. I loved your Spike, I really did. Growled Flash as he moved towards me. But I saw what the potions did to humans. The way they were treating them as if they were some disease that needed to be purged. I couldn't be with a mare that not only had a hoof in it, but also agreed with it. You still hurt her, I whispered, finally looking at him. She cried for a full month because of what you did to her. You were the only stallion she ever loved, and you hurt her. Me and Shining Armor wanted to kill you that day, but we didn't because Twilight asked us to leave you alone. Trust me, I wanted to meet you on the battlefield when we learned you joined the humans, because I wanted an excuse to kill you. I didn't mean to hit her, whispered Flash, lowering his eyes in shame. I was just so angry, frustrated by how blind she was by the suffering we caused. It was no excuse. I know, but trust me when I say that I regret what I did. And if I could take back my moment when my hoof hit her cheek, I would. Whatever. I whispered. I didn't care about his excuse. I didn't care about his reasoning. I didn't care if he was right about the humans. Anyone who hits my sister is scum in my books. Hours passed, but thankfully it stayed silent. Near supper, the doors opened and came out Lyra with a sad smile. We're done. I nodded to Lyra as she and Flash made their way down the hall with a small goodbye. I slowly walked back inside where Twilight was staring at the window. Flash was here, wasn't he? Yes, I answered as I sat down and grabbed her hoof. She didn't say anything, just smiled as I squeezed it. Fuck! Shit! God damn it all! I cried out in fury as I smashed my fist into the wall. I continued to curse as I punched it over and over again. It was only what little self-control I had that was preventing me from unleashing my flames and burning my room down. Another coughing fit. Another day closer to the inevitable. Another moment where I feared I would hear that Twilight had just died. Eventually my energy was run out on punching the wall and was replaced by just sitting on the floor and crying my heart out. I was so pathetic, even after everything I've seen and done since the war, I was still a crybaby. I hated everything in that moment. Everything from cancer to Celestia to even Twilight for refusing treatment for so long. Screw the potion, she would have fixed it eventually. Screw the stupid promise to Celestia. She had no right to keep anything after Celestia kept the real secret and why we moved to Earth. Just screw everything. I leaned my head back and dried my tears with my claws. I don't want her to die. Please, any god up there, don't let her die. Don't let me be alone. So, I don't count as part of your closest friends? Asked a voice in the air that spooked me for a bit. But soon I calmed myself down because there was only one being that could do that. Sure enough, one teleportation away and Discord was in front of me with a huge box of tissues. Although why that bug bunny on the sheets was beyond me. Then again, it was Discord. We're not exactly best friends. I whispered as I took up one of the tissues to wipe my eyes. Not like you need one since every human wants to be buddies with you. True, I think I can safely say I have every human on Earth added as a friend on Facebook, said Discord as he pulled out a cell phone, showing the large amount of followers that had reached past 1 billion. Thing was, I could believe it was true, considering Discord was one of the key allies that helped fight against Celestia when Fluttershy came to the human side. Despite his powers no longer being as strong as they were upon coming to this dimension, Discord proved more than a match to Twilight, Celestia, or Luna in the battles that raged against us. He was also the only one who actively attacked Equestria before the barrier went down, causing what chaos he could. He never killed, but he distracted and sabotaged enough to help give humanity a better chance against us. It was ironic that Discord was hated by most Equestria, was loved by humanity. Even after the war, he was hailed as a hero, and he soaked it all up. Shouldn't you be celebrating with the president's daughter or something? I said as I made my way to the bed and collapsed on it. Oh please, I like your words as much as the next period of chaos. But I swear if I'm given another national award, I swear I'll turn it to life and make a stamp around Tokyo. Might need a few days of rest after that, but it will be worth it. Said Discord, summoning a chair and sitting down. Honestly, it's not like I saved the world single-handedly. I snorted. No, it's just your blood that was the key to finally cracking the cure through the conversion potion. I honestly had to admit, we should have seen that coming. Celestia's blood was the one component Twilight had problems dealing with for the cure. It only made sense, her opposite in every way was the one who held the solution to the problem. I see we could see this. Oh, I would give my remaining years to see your face. Giggled Discord. To be honest, she didn't take it well when you sided with humanity. I said, remembering her curse for the first time ever. Why did you help humanity, Discord? Was it really because of Fluttershy? I've always been curious. Discord smirked and snapped his fingers, summoning up a globe of the earth. I suppose it seemed out of character for me to help a bunch of random creatures. Truth was, I didn't really care about the humans at first. I only decided to join their side because I flipped a coin. You decided to help humanity because of a coin toss? I said in disbelief. Yep. Discord said cheerily, summoning up a giant penny with his face on one side, and what looked to be Celestia's butt on the other. Although Celestia's rear looked bigger than usual. If it was heads, I'd help the humans. If it was tails, I'd help the ponies. I got tails. So, why did you help the humans? Because I decided before flipping, whoever the winner was, I would do the opposite, just for lols. He giggled before dismissing the penny and the spiraling globe. But I'm glad I did help the humans. Not because they worship me like a living god for all I've done for them, but they're also the most chaotic creatures I've ever seen. They're so different from each other and do so many amazing things. They can be stupid and smart at the same time, good, evil, swayed by logic and emotion. They can invent, create, and dream things alike that I'd never even think of. And I'm chaos itself. He tossed the globe into a basketball hoop that wasn't there originally. Bottom line, humans are chaotic. How can I not love a species that has such amazing and discordantly things, like Twitter? He smiled at me a bit before clearing his throat. But back to the matter at hand. You know you won't be alone when she finally dies, Spike. I closed my eyes and growled. She's my last family, Discord. What about Fluttershy, her kids? Aren't they your family? They'll die one day too. I'm a dragon, in case you decide to play with your dice eyes again. I got up and stomped away from the window, where I looked down and saw ponies and humans. I'm gonna live for hundreds, if not thousands of years. 1,000 years watching ponies and humans live and die, while I stay here on this planet without anybody to outlive me. Even you said you'll live 100 years or so, but not me. Not unless I kill myself, and I promised Twilight I wouldn't do that. I gritted my teeth as a tear dripped down my cheek. I'll be alone. That's the one thing I'm scared of the most. I lost my friends, most of those I cared about, my entire species. I'd rather die now than live alone. So, you're just gonna give up on life? Discord nonchalant. I turned around and snarled at him. What would you have me do? Do what I'm doing. I snorted. What, go around and glorify my greatness? Very funny, but I was gonna say something else. Discord snapped his fingers and conjured a glass of wine. Let me ask you something. Everything that happened since Equestria arrived on Earth, from the Conversion Bureau to the war itself and the aftermath. Everything has changed for both humanity and ponies. It will continue to do so for the next 100 years or so. Obviously, as time goes on, some parts of history will be lost, and lessons will be forgot. Discord took a small sip of his wine as he slowly looked back at him. History books are written by the victors, and sometimes the smaller, yet important details are forgotten. Mostly because those who once lived in such a time are gone. Yet the two of us are long-lasting in life. You live longer than me, granted, but it makes the task more important for you. You want me to remind everybody what was lost? I want you to be the one that tells everyone's story. Answered Discord, taking a sip. Twilight, Celestias, Lunas, your friends, those who's lost, those who won, those who died. All the stories filled with actual fact, instead of those that the historians will put out. Most likely something pro-human or whatnot. Well, we are the bad guys. I muttered grimly. The graveyard is filled with the ones we killed. The cities we've made ghost towns. The thousands in therapy or suicide watch because of the trauma they've gone through from turning into a pony and back again. How can we be anything but the bad guys? Even if we were to tell the world that Celestia did this for us to survive a world's apocalypse, I doubt they would even care. Then make sure it never happens again. Discord said, finishing his drink. Make sure ponies and humans learn from this. Teach them. Teach them to grow and learn. Teach them to realize that deep down, humans and ponies are the same. Teach them the lessons that Twilight and her friends preached but failed to follow when it came down to it. Teach them to build a new world. I didn't say anything, I just closed my eyes and thought about it. A world where humans and ponies could live side by side. There are still going to be humans and ponies out there that would teach their kids to hate. The thought that there were others who wanted more chaos after the peace we struggled to build. The peace that Twilight nearly killed herself for. Thank you. I whispered to Discord as a sense of calm came over me, as well as a burning fire. I would not let this mistake happen again. I would make sure that all the lives that perished or suffered would know the truth. I would make sure that history would not repeat itself, and the peace that we pushed for so long should not be in vain. Just being a helpful friend. Now if you excuse me, I'm late for a cameo on the next Doctor Who episode. Said Discord before disappearing with a snap of his fingers. It was determined that Twilight only had a week left. There was nothing left to do but to make her comfortable. News got leaked, and soon every news station in the world was camped outside the castle, waiting for the announcement that the last Alicorn princess was gone. Twilight was never alone for a second with me. Fluttershy and her family was there. Most of us stayed quiet as Twilight slept a lot and ate a little, her body getting weaker and weaker. The few times she could stay awake, she talked softly to me or Fluttershy. Feathershy, being the priest he was always muttering a prayer for Twilight's soul. Sometimes the rest of the family joined in. I only did it once. When the family left, we had something to eat on the 6th night. Twilight opened her eyes and turned to me as I sat there, holding her hoof as gently as I could. Spike? Yes? I asked, holding her hoof. Do you think they can ever forgive me? I sat there for a bit before a small smile appeared on my lips. I gently picked up her light body and took her to the windows. The stun look on her face made my smile increase. Below us, spanning all over Canterlot, were lit candles. Human, pony, both races, who held the veil from one mare. One mare who did everything she could to make up for the years of misery and death. One mare who gave so many their humanity back. One mare who gave Equestria a second chance. A row of mourners were there to light Twilight's soul beyond whatever lays after death. Be it heaven or nothing, she had died being surrounded in a city that loved her. Tears dripped down her eyes as she wept into my shoulder. I gently took her back to her bed and helped her lay in it, covering her with the sheets, wiping the tears from her eyes. Twilight smiled one last time as she slowly closed her eyes and fell into another deep sleep. I'm ready. These were the last words she spoke to me. An hour later, she passed away. She hadn't looked so peaceful in years.